Let's have a look at climate change in a single graph. That graph represents the global temperature anomaly, which means how the global temperature differs from some mean or average temperature. The blue curve is natural climate change that shows us emerging from the last ice age, peaking around 7,000 years ago and then slowly descending into the next ice age. The red spike at the right end of the plot are current temperature measurements dating back to 1961. This plot shows us two things of importance. The natural climate change occurs over thousands of years. The light blue region surrounding the blue curve is the uncertainty in the temperature estimate. The red spike at the end is the modern climate anomaly. It's just marching up. Okay, I will point out one thing about this graph, which otherwise looks like damning evidence for anthropogenic global warming. The historic record may be subject to coarse graining, which means any decadal variations may be averaged out. In contrast, the red graph is fine-grained with yearly temperature anomaly measurements. This is where you need to listen carefully to the scientists who publish the research and find out how they addressed possible coarse graining effects. So here we don't have to worry about coarse graining effects. This shows a correlation between temperature anomaly and atmospheric CO_2 emissions. While correlation does not necessarily means causation, you'd need to be willfully obstreperous to deny a problem here. There is a causal connection between atmospheric CO2 concentration and global temperature. It's quite direct. It should remain with the deniers to actually show that there are other influences that counteract the positive effect of CO2 on the global climate. I'm not aware of any such study. In fact, deniers seems to be a relatively lazy bunch who decry conspiracy, emperor's new clothes, and other straw man arguments in lieu of actually presenting hard data. Some have the temerity to just state that they are smarter than any climate scientist ever, so by sheer force of intellect, they rebut the mountain of scientific evidence. Here I have provided two graphs. I admit the first may be subject to coarse graining error and the second is a solid correlation, but not a proof of causation. There is no doubt that human activity is responsible for the CO2 emissions. That's locked in. However, we are accumulating a mountain of empirical evidence that matches predictions of the effect of a warming climate. What's more, insurance companies are now starting to factor in their increased liability due to climate change. So believe it or not, the people who stand to lose will make you pay more for your insurance premiums to offset their increasing exposure to climate change. In layman's terms, humans are making the global climate hotter through the release of CO2 into the atmosphere. The higher global temperature will make weather systems more extreme, causing more damage. Seawater levels will continue to rise. Glaciers will continue to melt. Some places may become too inhospitable to live, causing mass migration and increasing global conflict. Like the Chinese say, we are living in interesting times.